Welcome to Insightful AI Studio, where creativity meets technology.
The Zodiac Killer, the unsolved enigma. It was the late 1960s in Northern California, a time of cultural revolution, peace movements, and social change. But alongside this era of hope emerged a sinister figure who would go on to terrorize communities with a spree of brutal killings and taunting letters. This figure, now known as the Zodiac Killer, became one of the most infamous and mysterious serial killers in American history, responsible for at least 5 confirmed murders between 1968 and 1969. Despite decades of investigations and numerous suspects, the Zodiac's identity remains unsolved to this day. The Zodiac's first confirmed attack took place on December 20th, 1968, in the small town of Vallejo, California. 2 teenagers, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, were parked in a secluded area known as a lover's lane when an unknown assailant approached their vehicle. The attacker fired several shots, killing both teens at close range. There were no witnesses, and little evidence was left behind. This brutal murder shocked the community, but, at the time, there was no indication that it was the beginning of something far more terrifying. Just 6 months later, on July 4th, 1969, the Zodiac struck again. This time, it was another young couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau, who were parked in a similar secluded location in Vallejo. As they sat in their car, an unknown figure approached and fired multiple shots into the vehicle. Darlene was killed instantly, but Michael, despite being severely wounded, survived the attack. He later provided a description of the killer to the police, describing him as a stocky white male with short brown hair, but little else was known. The case took a chilling turn just weeks later, when a letter arrived at the Vallejo Times-Herald newspaper. It was the first of many letters from the Zodiac Killer, and it was filled with bizarre and cryptic language. The letter began with a taunt: "Dear editor, I am the killer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman plus the girl. Last 4th of July." The Zodiac also included a cipher, a coded message that he claimed contained his identity, challenging the public and law enforcement to solve it. This letter was just the beginning of the Zodiac's correspondence with the media and police. Over the next several years, he would send a total of 18 letters to various newspapers, many of them containing ciphers, taunts, and threats. In some of these letters, the Zodiac would even claim responsibility for murders that were not confirmed to be his work, adding to the confusion and fear surrounding the case. One of the most infamous attacks attributed to the Zodiac occurred on September 27, 1969, at Lake Berryessa in Napa County, California. On that day, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were relaxing by the lake when a man approached them, wearing a bizarre black executioner-style hood with a crosshair symbol on his chest. The man tied them up before repeatedly stabbing them with a knife. Brian survived the attack, but Cecilia succumbed to her injuries 2 days later. After the attack, the Zodiac scrawled a message on Brian's car door, claiming responsibility for the attack and linking it to his previous crimes. The symbol he used, a crosshair inside a circle, became his signature mark, which he would continue to use in his letters and communications with the police. The Zodiac's final confirmed murder occurred on October 11, 1969, in San Francisco. A cab driver named Paul Stein was shot and killed by an unknown assailant while driving in the upscale neighborhood of Presidio Heights. Unlike his previous victims, Stein was not a young couple, nor was he parked in a remote location. This murder was committed in a densely populated area, and it was clear that the Zodiac had evolved in his methods. Following the murder, the Zodiac sent a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle, containing a piece of Stein's bloody shirt as proof of his involvement. In this letter, he threatened to attack school buses, further escalating the fear in the Bay Area. Despite these terrifying acts, the Zodiac Killer was never caught. Numerous suspects were investigated, but none were definitively linked to the crimes. One of the most well-known suspects was Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester who had been questioned by police on several occasions. Allen fit the profile of the Zodiac, and there were several pieces of circumstantial evidence that pointed to him. However, Allen was never charged, and after his death in 1992, DNA evidence seemed to rule him out as a suspect. Another significant suspect was a man named Lawrence Kane, who was linked to the Zodiac through a variety of factors, including his physical appearance and a history of criminal behavior. Kane had connections to the locations where several of the murders took place, and he had been involved in incidents of violence against women. Despite these connections, there was never enough concrete evidence to charge him, and he, too, remains only a suspect. The Zodiac case grew colder as the years passed. The killings stopped after 1969, though the Zodiac continued to send letters sporadically over the next few years. In 1974, the letters abruptly ceased, and the case went dormant for decades. Despite advances in forensic technology, including the use of DNA analysis, the case has never been solved. One of the reasons the Zodiac case remains so mysterious is the killer's use of ciphers and codes. Over the years, amateur and professional codebreakers have worked tirelessly to crack the Zodiac's ciphers, hoping they would reveal his identity. While some of the ciphers were solved, revealing cryptic messages such as "I like killing because it is so much fun," the most famous cipher, known as the 340 cipher, remained unsolved for over 50 years. In December 2020, a team of codebreakers announced that they had finally cracked the 340 cipher. The message did not reveal the Zodiac's identity, but it did provide further insight into his twisted mind. The decoded message read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." Despite this breakthrough, the Zodiac's identity remains a mystery. The case continues to fascinate true crime enthusiasts, amateur sleuths, and law enforcement alike. Many theories have been proposed over the years, with some suggesting that the Zodiac may have been a disgruntled military veteran or a deranged loner. Others believe that the killer may have died or been incarcerated for another crime, thus ending his reign of terror. In recent years, the Zodiac case has seen a resurgence of interest, with new books, documentaries, and even movies being produced about the case. The 2007 film Zodiac, directed by David Fincher, brought the case back into the public spotlight, and it remains one of the most well-known unsolved mysteries in American history. For the families of the Zodiac's victims, the case remains a painful reminder of the horrific events that took their loved ones away. Despite the passage of time, they continue to hold out hope that one day, the killer will be brought to justice and that the enigma of the Zodiac will finally be solved. The Zodiac Killer's legacy is one of fear, frustration, and fascination. He taunted the police and the public, leaving behind a trail of cryptic messages, unsolved ciphers, and chilling letters. His ability to evade capture has left a mark on law enforcement, who continue to pursue leads and investigate suspects. For now, the Zodiac remains an unsolved enigma, a ghostly figure lurking in the shadows of history. The mystery of the Zodiac Killer serves as a reminder of the darkest parts of human nature, and his story continues to captivate those who seek answers. The search for the Zodiac's true identity remains ongoing, and though the case may be cold, the hope for justice has never wavered. Until then, the Zodiac Killer remains one of the most infamous figures in American criminal history, an unsolved riddle that may never be fully answered. And this story provides an in-depth look into the unsolved mystery of the Zodiac Killer.
Thank you for watching and subscribe for more videos.